Hey everybody, this is Tommy Dimsdale with the Dimsdale Debate, and on this weekly episode we're going to be asking the question, did Thomas Jefferson really pull out pages of the Bible that he didn't agree with? We'll be answering that question next. Alright, as stated before, we're going to be going into the myth of Thomas Jefferson ripping out pages of the Bible, and he was a deist, an agnostic, or whatever you want to call him, because he didn't believe in the miracles of Jesus Christ, he didn't believe in the supernatural, he didn't believe that Jesus Christ was the Son of Man, so he ripped the pages of the Bible out, and this is their way, this is the left's way of saying, see, Thomas Jefferson, he wasn't a Christian, so that means the rest of the founders weren't Christian either. Well, not only were the rest of the founders Christian, but Thomas Jefferson was as well. And if you come across somebody talking about this, the chances are they're not going to know their facts past this one little first talking point, which is very advantageous to you, my viewers, because you'll be able to hit them with this both barrels. All right, so to start things off, let's look at Thomas Jefferson and his life and how he lived his life. We're not going to take a lot of time on this, but let's just look at a few evidences. Thomas Jefferson was a member of the Virginia Bible Society, and you can look back at the Virginia Bible Society and you can see that they didn't rip out any pages of the Bible, and they published the Bible in its entirety. And Thomas Jefferson was also a very big donor to the Virginia Bible Society because he believed that every colonial home should have a Bible in it, and if possible every person should be able to have their own personal Bible. That was unheard of. If you don't have a Bible, we need to get you one. So Thomas Jefferson backed them. So kind of flies in the face of this myth because, if he really didn't believe in the Bible in its entirety, why is he funding a society that gives out and produces and pushes the Bible in its entirety, right? Just moving further from that, there was the Johnson Bible was the biggest Bible at that time. He had a big hand in getting that printed, closely followed by the Woodward Bible, and he helped print and promote that. He also, you can look in some of his letters, he sent plenty of Bibles to his grandkids and to his kids so that as they began to learn to read, they also began to learn how to take care of one another and how to treat one another as they grew up. And of course, he gave those in their entirety. They weren't missing any pages out of them. Also, he served on the Board of Education for Washington, D.C. schools, which Washington, D.C. schools actually use the Bible as the basis and foundation for their curriculum in its entirety. So we go to look at some of these evidences and think, okay, well, it sounds like Thomas Jefferson was actually pretty reverent when it came to the Bible. It seemed like he really believed in it. So what does this myth take out of context? And it's actually pretty blatant. So if anybody ever comes up and asks you, or anybody ever asks me, well, what about the Thomas Jefferson Bible, the Jefferson Bible, the one that he tore the pages out of? This is a copy of the 1820 version right here. And the first question you need to ask them is, well, which Jefferson Bible? And of course, they're probably not going to know what you're talking about. And this is a good thing. I want to remind you, every time you enter into a debate or anything, educating someone, always use the Socratic method. When we bring the Socratic method in, it keeps tensions down and minds open, all right? That's one thing you really need to remember, and that is asking questions. Because you've got two ways to convince this cat that he doesn't know what he's talking about. Either one, you can just flat out tell him that he doesn't know what he's talking about, or you can ask him a question to make him doubt himself in thinking that he knows what he's talking about. So I think the latter choice is a lot more effective, especially in this arena. So you ask him, which one are you talking about, the 1804 Bible or the 1820? And of course, they're not going to know. I didn't know there was two Bibles. Well, yeah, there was 1804, 1820. The 1804 Bible came about from a conversation that Reverend William Bennett and Thomas Jefferson had. They were very good friends, and they wanted to compile a way to evangelize the Native Americans on the outskirts of their territory. And at that point, the Native Americans couldn't read, so they had to teach them how to read also. So the Reverend Bennett told him, he said, Jefferson, we need a Bible that is a lot shorter and is more concise and plainly stated. We want them to see the gospel right off the bat. So that's exactly what Thomas Jefferson did. Yes, he went back home and he took pages and cut verses out of the Bible, and he did cut out all the miracles and all the supernatural stuff, and Jesus, healing the sick and healing the blind and bringing the dead back to life. And from that, he compiled that into one conglomerate to where when the Indians read it, and were first beginning to read and learning to read, the very first thing they read was the gospel of Jesus Christ. They didn't want them going all the way back to Genesis, Exodus, and then, God forbid, Leviticus. They get into Leviticus and they really would have given up and they never would have heard the gospel. So they said, we want them to see Jesus Christ's miracles and the things that He did. We want them to know about His time on the cross. So we're putting this Bible together, and it was distributed as such. And if you look into the first pages of the Thomas Jefferson Bible, it reads this way: "The philosophy of Jesus of Nazareth, being extracted from the account of His life and doctrines given by Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, being an abridgment of the New Testament for the use of the Indians." So there's absolute proof right there that this was made to evangelize the Indians. Now, you've got the 1804 Bible, and then you've got your copy of the 1820 Bible. I've got this one right here. And this one focuses on the moral philosophy of Jesus Christ. So it goes through a lot of Jesus' teaching, the Beatitudes, the Sermon on the Mount, and all this thing, and all this stuff. And the founders, along with Jefferson, they really studied moral philosophy, and they gave everybody a fair shot. They looked back at Plato and Marcus Cicero and many of the old school, at that time, ancient philosophers and some of the societies and the current day societies right then. And their consensus was that Christianity and the teachings and the moral philosophy of Jesus Christ was second to none. It was superior to any other teachings of that time and still today. That being said, their number one goal was to keep government small. So they're thinking, well, we've made the Constitution, so how do we keep government small outside of that? Because they've only got the legal side. Because they're going to need a virtuous populace. When they realize this, they say, okay, well, we need to really find good ways to push the Bible out there, and that's why Jefferson compiled this Bible, and it's about the moral philosophy of Jesus. As Benjamin Franklin once said, as nations become more corrupt and vicious, they have more need of masters. So that being said, the founders wanted to find a way to keep people from being corrupt and vicious, so they wanted to use the public schools, they wanted to use the federal government and the state governments, they wanted to use that to promote Christianity and good ethics, and especially through this Bible right here. This Bible, the 1820 version Bible, for a span of 50 years, if you were a congressman, you were given one of these Bibles. They told you, read this, study this, meditate upon this, and we're all going to be good. If everybody were to follow these rules, especially politicians, if they would follow what they put on their Facebook pages, maybe, we would be a better, more prosperous state and a more prosperous country. So, but anyways, guys, I really hope that this has cleared up the myth about, Thomas Jefferson ripping pages out of the Bible. And hopefully if you ever find anybody that brings this up, you'll be like, aha, I remember this. I watched the Dimsdale debate video. But anyways, guys, I want to encourage you to go out and buy my book on Amazon.com. I've got the link down below. It's called A Call to Arms. You can probably blow through it in 1 or 2 days max. Very easy to read. And I've got it chock full of historical apologetics, a lot like what you've heard in this video. And something you can blow through really quick. And I made it like that so you could get the most amount of knowledge in the least amount of time. So if you would do that and share this video, share it with your friend, share it with your pastor, share it with your Sunday school teacher, bring it in the churches, let them see. And definitely share it on Facebook. And if you've got any comments, leave a comment below, and definitely hit the subscribe button, and make sure you hit that little bell notification button as well. That way that you get notifications every time we post a new YouTube video. But other than that, y'all have a blessed week. Shields high.